Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer video on set shots in AFL 26. Set shots can be affected by many factors in the game, including your distance from goal, the angle from which you're kicking the ball, the power that you're inputting for the kick, where you end up aiming the kick, the type of kick you've selected, not to mention other factors like the player attributes and skill, the player being left-footed or right-footed, the game difficulty you're playing on, and of course, the wind. With all of these factors and the new mechanic, I thought we'd do a bit of a deep dive into set shots in AFL 26. So let's jump in. The first thing I wanted to highlight, as with lots of the other features in the game, is that you've got the ability to go into tutorials, as you see here, and try out some of the different features in the game, like we're doing with set shots here. With each of the tutorials, it starts with a bit of a description to give you a bit of an understanding of what's needed for that particular task. In the same sense, you can go to the guide in the main menu, and each of the features of the game is described in even more detail, so you can learn more about how to use it. Here for set shots, we press circle to enter set shot mode. We select our type of kick with the directional buttons, and choose the height for which you want to kick using the left stick. You hold circle to power up your kick, releasing that when you have the power you need. And then on the accuracy meter, we tap circle when the indicator is at the location that you want to aim at with the goals. We also see that we need to take into account the swing of the ball from the footedness of the player, and also the wind speed and the direction that can have an effect on the ball's trajectory. Back in the tutorial, we see that in action. We hold circle to power up the kick and then tap circle on the accuracy meter to aim straight through the goals. Now it mentions we can aim our height with the left stick. Higher will be affected more by wind, we get more distance. Lower will not be affected by wind, but might drop short with the kick. As with some of the other features of the game, we can find out how this is working by going to settings and creating a custom difficulty. Here, you can choose the different base difficulties and find the settings for each of the things in the game and how it affects the actual gameplay. If we go down to goal kicking, we can flick between hard, hardest, and all the other difficulties, and we can have a look at how goal kicking is affected at each of the different levels. For example, we can scroll down to the set shot meter fill speed to find out the speed of the accuracy indicator at that particular level. We can then compare it to the different difficulty levels here. We can also do that for the set shot goal width and find how wide are those goalpost indicators going to be on the different difficulty levels. And lastly, we can have a look at what the skill effect is of the player that's having the kick. Up the top right, we can see the description and find out that that affects the accuracy indicator and the speed at which it goes. On that player skill, we can go into the academy and the player editor and have a look through some of the different players. So we'll look for a key forward here and go to Charlie Curnow. When we go in to check his abilities, we can go down to set shots and find that he's got high attributes for set shot skills. When we scroll across to his proficiencies, we can have a look at his special kicks and see he's only 2 stars out of 5. So maybe someone like Jack Higgins would be better for this, for his snaps and bananas in the set shots. Back in the tutorial menu, you can tab across to the advanced tutorials, and here you've got the option to practice those special kicks like the banana, snap, and the torpedo punt set shots. Additionally, down the bottom, you have the set shots weather tutorial, which lets you practice how the weather, in particular the wind, can affect your kicks. Alright, it's time to put some theory into practice. Here I'm fairly close, just with the regular drop punt, and you can see I slot it fairly easily. If we go to slow it down, what you can see is I power up the kick holding circle, and I stop it just after the blue in the green. The accuracy meter comes up, and I'm just going to aim this fairly straight because there's no wind and I'm pretty close to the goals.
Struck it well, no problems there. The big 40's looking ominous. Inside 50.
In this one I'm a bit further out. I go into the set shot mode by pressing circle. I have a look at the height of the kick Because I'm further out, I want more distance, so I'll pop it up high. I'll slow it down again here. I power up the kick holding circle, but I want to hold it for longer and go into the red to get the required distance for this kick. You can see that reduces the size of the goals on the accuracy meter. I'm still going to aim a little bit out to the right to allow for the right to left swing by this right footer. And that's an important thing to remember. With a longer kick, the ball has more ability to swing over the distance of its journey. So you need to aim further out to allow for that swing. Here, I'm Jezza Cameron. A left footer is going to aim further out to the left, so that left to right swing brings it back to the goals. This is what the guide is talking about with the footedness of the player. For a left footer, there's more left to right swing. For a right footer, there's more right to left swing. In this next one, I'm even further out, outside the 50. So what I'm going to do is a torpedo. I press down on the D-pad to switch to the torpedo mode. I power up the shot and it goes red much earlier, and I have to aim even further out to the right to allow for it to swing back in. Torpedoes are great to get the extra distance on the shot, but with that added power, there's extra swing that you have to account for. Now it's time to get a bit fancy. If you're stuck in a pocket, you might need to get a bit more swing on those kicks. You can do this by using the left or right on the D-pad to go into a snap mode or banana mode. And this depends if you're left or right footed. These types of kicks can open up the goals and the accuracy a bit more, but you need to allow for the extra swing that they provide. If we slow it down and zoom in, you can see I probably overpower this kick, which makes it even more difficult for me. But on the accuracy meter, I stop the indicator even further out to the right to allow for the extra swing that this snap is going to give.
Cool.
He hasn't had a big impact, but he's still...
Bananas act in a similar way to snaps, except they bend the opposite direction. So in that sense, you want to stop the aiming indicator beyond the centre of the goals. I also found that higher kicks bend more than lower kicks. So if you aim up high, make sure you aim further out than a lower kick. In this example, I aim what I think is beyond where I need to, but because it's lower, it doesn't bend back enough and it hits the post. In this higher and further out example, I put the accuracy meter well beyond the middle of the goals to allow for that swing to come all the way back in. Remember, for snaps, bananas and torpedoes, the special kick proficiency has an effect on the difficulty of the shot. So it'll be easier for these types of shots with players that have a higher special kick ability. Additionally, if you happen to be playing on a higher difficulty or you happen to overpower the shot, it's going to be harder for you to perfect that accuracy on that second meter. And finally, just to screw with everything you've just learned, we come to weather. The wind can have an effect on the trajectory of your kick, so it's something that you need to take into account when you put in the input of the indicator in your second meter. You can nullify the effect of the wind by lowering the trajectory of your kick. However, that may mean that the ball won't travel as far with the kick and might not even make the distance. You can tell the direction and the power of the wind by the white indicator arrows on the ground as you line up. Even with this slowed down, you can see it's a powerful wind going from left to right, meaning it's going to take the ball all the way across, even with myself aiming at the left point post here. Watch the ball as it travels through the air. With this next scenario, we have to account for the wind going right to left, but also the fact that we're a right footer, so the footedness swing will also add with that right to left. We're only about 30 metres out, so we're aiming just beyond the right goal post to get this going through the goals. If we were further out, we'd have to add even more distance to allow for the swing throughout the ball's trajectory on its way to goal. I'd still recommend jumping into a tutorial or lowering the difficulty and having a bit of a play around yourself. Weighing up all of these factors, the set shot mechanic is a logical one, but still a fun and challenging one, even for those experienced players of AFL games. I hope this has been helpful. Please leave a comment and let me know your thoughts. I'll catch you all next time.